ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So Lord Kapila is now describing that once one has learned to concentrate his mind, then he should meditate on the form of the Lord. And this form which a yogi is supposed to meditate upon is not some imaginary form. It is not that he can imagine God in whatever way he likes. He can imagine God with having 10 hands, 6 hands. No. He has to form in his mind the form of the Lord as described in the Vedic scriptures. So, there are 2-3 very important things to understand. One is that even in Dhyana Yoga, in the beginning, it may be to concentrate the mind, it may be required that one has to concentrate on the tip of the nose. But that is not the end. That is Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai Gaur Nitai ki Lakshmi Narsimha Dev Bhagwan Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. So that is in the beginning. Just that, so that the mind can become free from all external disturbances. And one learns how to concentrate the mind. Once one has developed that sense of concentration, then the yogi is supposed to form a form of the Lord in his mind. Because in the beginning, he cannot see the form of the Lord in his heart. But it is described. What is the form of the Lord in the heart? Based on the form of the Lord in the heart, he has to form the form of the Lord. Actually, it is very difficult. One may wonder how it is yogi has to form a form of the Lord in his mind or in his heart. Yes, it is an authorized process. It is said in the Vedic scriptures, there are different materials with which one can have the form of the Lord when we are in conditioned life. Because in our conditioned life, we cannot see the spiritual form of the Lord. But for the Lord, there is no difference. For us, it makes a lot of difference. You cannot see spirit, but we can see matter. But for him, it is his energy. So if he appears as a matter, we can see him. And that is called the deity form of the Lord. So, the authorized deity form of the Lord, it can be made in color, it can be made with mud, it can be made with sand, it can be made with stone, it can be made with metal, and it can be made even in one's mind. Because mind is also matter. Just like there is gross matter, there is subtle matter. The example is given in Nectar of Devotion about how one can actually form the form of the Lord and meditate on the Supreme Lord. So it is said that once a devotee, he was hearing in the discourse about how one should offer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should make the Supreme Lord seated on a beautiful throne and then serve him. And then just like we offer to the deities abhishekam and everything, clothing, and after that we offer bhoga to the Lord. So similarly, as was described in the discourse, this devotee, he sat down and in his mind he made the form of the Lord, made him to sit down on the beautiful throne, and then he was serving the Supreme Lord. And because he did not have physical different kinds of facilities to offer to the Lord, so in his mind he started cooking sweet rice and he was offering to the Lord. So he is meditating that he is cooking the sweet rice, and before offering to the Lord, he wanted to see whether the sweet rice is cold enough, because milk is offered hot, sweet rice is offered cold. It is more tastier. So he touched his finger to see whether it is hot, and his finger immediately burned. And that broke his meditation. And when he actually saw, he saw that his finger had burned. I think you all would have seen that picture painted by some devotee. So Prabhupada explains there is no difference. Either gross matter or subtle matter. Matter is matter, whether it is subtle or gross. But if you think, then it is very good. And if you preach to people, they will think, better I will offer subtle matter to God and I will offer gross matter to my family. All nice eatables, everything from the market I will bring for my family, and for God I will offer in my mind something. It's not like that. Whatever is available, whatever one considers to be very dear to him, actually should be offered to the Lord. So, if one is having the conception, my family is more dear to me, and he offers them everything, whatever is required, and to God he offers only in his mind, then Krishna is bhavagrahi. He understands our bhava. He is not after subtle matter or gross matter. It is his energy only. What he sees is that whatever we are claiming to be ours, that we offer it to him. That will purify us. So it's a fact that one can make a form of the Lord even in his mind, and that is what a yogi is supposed to do. As described in the Vedic literature, he has to make a form of the Lord in his mind and concentrate, meditate on that form. How he has to make, that is being described. What should be the form on which he should meditate? So the form is, that is what it is said here. Prasanna vadanam bhojam. The Supreme Lord has a very cheerful, lotus-like face, countenance. This is a very important aspect in devotional service, which these so-called impersonalists, they actually miss out, because they are accustomed to meditate on God as formless, and that becomes a very big factor for them, that they cannot imagine God having a form. Bhagavad Gita explains the reason behind why these people cannot understand that God can have a form. Bhagavad Gita gives the example. Gross people, those who are absorbed in bodily conception, they cannot understand. Then jnanis, those who are absorbed in monistic understanding, they also cannot understand. Why? Those who are grossly absorbed in body, why they cannot understand? That is for the jnanis, people absorbed in bodily conception of life, because they cannot understand anything beyond matter. So they fail to understand, if God is spirit, then matter means it has a form. So they think God means negative of matter which does not have a form. So being too absorbed in bodily conception of life, these people cannot go beyond matter. So they fail to understand that Supreme Lord, He is spirit and still He has a form. Then impersonalist, because repeatedly they have tried to enjoy matter and they are frustrated. So that example is given, just like a fox. It was trying to eat grapes, jumped many times, it could not reach. Finally it came to the conclusion, why I should eat, they are all sour. Because it could not capture, it could not catch those grapes. So similarly, these impersonalists, they all try to enjoy matter. With multiple failures, they become frustrated and they are fearful because of miserable experience they had with matter. So, if they are told that even in spiritual life there is form, there is relationship, there is name, they become very fearful. It is something like one who has eaten everyday sweet rice with stones in it cannot believe, cannot understand that sweet rice can be without stones. So these people fail to understand that forms can be, there can be a form which can be without inebriety. They are thinking forms means limited. Because of the fear they develop because of repeated failures in this material forms, material relations. Third, it is explained in Bhagavad Gita, is that there are so many different interpretations about God. Somebody is saying everyone is God, somebody is saying there is no God, God is dead. And once become completely bewildered by all these philosophies, he becomes angry at spiritual life. And he comes to the conclusion of voidism. Nothing is there, it's all void. So these three classes of people, one is absorbed in bodily conception of life. Second, who have a fear of retaining personality and form and relationships in the spiritual realm. The monist and the confused people who are bewildered by varieties of philosophies in the world and who become angry at all these different varieties of philosophy, they cannot understand. And that is why Krishna says, Avajananti mama mudha. Mudhas, they think whenever the Supreme Lord comes, Manushim tanum ashrita. Where is he God? He is also like any of us, human being. In today's class conversation we were reading, no? Prabhupada is giving a very wonderful example. Somebody asked this question, that Prabhupada, Westerners, they say Krishna was great personality, there is no doubt about it. And later on, over a period of time, people gave him a form of God, that he is God, he should be worshipped. So many we find like this, right? So many examples we see. And this is how they conclude, isn't it? Whether you see Sai Baba or this Baba or that Baba, isn't it? After they die, their followers make him God, worship him like God. So they are saying this is how similarly about Krishna also. He was a great man. And amongst all those people, he was very unique, very great. So, Prabhupada is giving the examples that actually if you see, Pandavas, they were the kings of the whole of Hastinapur, which was the capital of the whole world. So in terms of material acquisitions, we find that Pandavas were, great. And there were many other kings who were very charitable and so many other truthful, honest, everything was there. But we don't find that they are being worshipped now as, they always remain as a great king only. None of them have been called as God, that yes, now he has become a God. Isn't it? So it is not that man is worshipped as a god. That's a wrong idea. So, this Lord Kapila is clarifying that actually this is a misunderstanding, that one has to meditate on something as formless. Rather, one has to meditate on the authorized form of the Lord as mentioned in the scriptures. So, Prabhupada is saying in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is described. Prabhupada has given a synopsis of that in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, that according to the placement of these 4 symbols, there are 12 different forms of the Lord. Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. And mind should be fixed on the personal form of the Lord. And how is the attitude of the Lord? He is Anandamyo Bhyasat, always cheerful. Prabhupada says, even when he is killing the demon, he is cheerful. Isn't it? Even when Arjuna is crying, grieving, Krishna is smiling. Prasanna, we also say Prasanna Vadana Dhyayet. One should meditate on this very pleasing countenance of the Lord, which is just like the beautiful amboja, beautiful lotus flower. So, whose attitude is cheerful as described in this verse. Bhagavad Gita states that meditation on the impersonal or void feature is very troublesome to the meditator. Even though these meditators on the impersonal aspect of the Lord, that has also been going on from time immemorial. And the same question was asked by Arjuna to Krishna. Who is more perfect? Someone who is meditating on your personal form, or someone who is meditating on your impersonal form? So, Krishna starts describing that even though those who meditate on my impersonal form, first of course Krishna says that those who are meditating on my personal form, that is not only easier, that is the most perfect way of meditating on me. Tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Who is more perfect? That is what he had asked. Just like we say uttama, vittama. That is how this word is used. They misinterpret the answer of the Lord, saying that because it is easier, Krishna is saying that it is better. It is better to meditate on form of the Lord. So what do they say, They say from form you start meditating and then you go to formless. Directly don't go to formless. First you meditate on form, and that is what Krishna is saying. It is easier to meditate on the form. Deha vadbhiravapyate. Right? Those who are embodied, for them to meditate on impersonal is very difficult. So they give 5 forms, that any of these 5 forms you can meditate. Pancha Upasaka, they are called. So one of them is Krishna also, form of Krishna. But what is their goal? Their goal is from form to formless. They also chant names of the Lord, from name to nameless. They also describe Bhagavatam, which contains the qualities of the Lord, from quality to one who has no qualities, nirguna. Nirguna, Nirakara, Brahma. That is what they think. So they think this is a means to their end. End is formless. Means is with form. And that is why Krishna is saying it is easy and that is difficult. So according to them, don't go directly and meditate, start meditating on formless. First you start meditating on form, and then slowly when you become accustomed, then you meditate on formless. This is their misunderstanding. So this is one very important aspect. Second is, in the next paragraph, Prabhupada talks about that sometimes people ask this question, why Krishna's color is blue? Just like here it is said, Nilot Paladala Shamam. Because this is what the Vedic scripture describe. But if you ask people, if you ask these so-called great scholars, what do? They make an imaginary explanation of what is given in the Vedic scriptures. That is called as Gauna Vritti. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confronted Prakashananda Saraswati, and when Prakashananda Saraswati was saying that it is very good that you are dancing, you are chanting, but why don't you read Vedanta? Just like we are doing, we are reading every day Vedanta. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that what you are reading is nothing but interpretations of Shankaracharya, which is Gauna Vritti. He has given his imaginary meanings to the words. He has not given direct meaning. Mukhya Vritti is neglected, Gauna Vritti he has taken, imaginary meaning, and that is what you are reading. And if you hear that, your whole spiritual life is finished. Real meaning of Vedanta will be covered by your explanations. Just like he said to Sarvabhauma. After 7 days of hearing, when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked him, what did you understand? He said that after hearing from you, the real meaning of what I understood is completely covered. First, when you spoke about Vedanta Sutra, that was as crystal clear as the sun. Your explanation is like the cloud which is covering the sun. So, this is exactly what Shankaracharya did. On the order of the Supreme Lord, he took Gauna Vritti. There is a difference. Just like Prabhupada gives the example, the word Kurukshetra, Mukhya Vritti, you can get directly from dictionary. Dictionary meaning, that is called Mukhya Vritti. Bhakti Vinod Thakur explains this. Just like Kurukshetra, if you look into the dictionary, Nirukti, you will find the definition given there. A place of pilgrimage, where from time immemorial, many great sacrifices are being held. And what is Gauna Vritti? Imaginary meaning. Kurukshetra means this body. Where does dictionary say? Where does it say? Anywhere, any of the authorized dictionary, does it say Kurukshetra means human body? It does not say. So this is called Gauna Vritti. Making some imaginary meaning out of what is given. Isn't it? Pandavas. If you look into the dictionary, what is the meaning of Pandavas? There were Panch Pandavas, son of such and such. They existed from this time. They ruled like this. All this description will be there. Imaginary meaning, Pandavas means our 5 senses, they will say. Mahabharata, we know, it was a great war, the biggest war which happened in the history. They will say Mahabharata is the battle between good and bad in your own body. This body itself is Mahabharata. Where does it describe like this? Anywhere? Isn't it? So similarly, these people, if you ask them why God is blue, they will say, Swamiji, God is unlimited. He is just like sky is unlimited. Anything which is unlimited, sea is unlimited, it is also bluish. Sky is unlimited, it is also bluish. So similarly, God is depicted by name Krishna, he is also unlimited, so he is also bluish. This is their imaginary meaning. Why Krishna is called Shyama Sundara. Isn't it? No. Here we can see it is clearly described in the Vedic scripture. Authorized. Great authority like Lord Kapila is describing that this is the original form of the Lord. Isn't it? Nilotpala Dala Shyamam. Similarly, Brahma Samhita also describes that the Supreme Lord, his bodily hue is just like the fresh monsoon cloud, Ambuda. So we'll stop with this Granthra, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.